LTAD, Long-Term Athlete Development Model. The LTAD model is developed in partnership with Athletics Canada. It is a sport development framework. It is a training, competition, and recovery system in which is based off of a child's development age or maturity level instead of their chronological age. In order for anyone to develop in sport or activity, they must take proper steps in doing the right things at the right time. The LTAD system focuses on having athletes do the right things for their specific ages and stages. When a child is at its earliest stage of development, it is important that sport development programs are based around their critical periods of accelerated adaptation to training. These periods account for the time when children are ready and able to develop certain fundamental sport skills like running, jumping, and throwing, all while being able to improve their speed, agility, and balance. Research shows that it takes about 8 to 12 years of training to develop an elite athlete. This equates to around 3 hours of practice a day for 10 years. Sports nutrition. Sports nutrition is essential for athletes that need to be able to push their bodies in training and competitions, and it is even more important for them to be educated on how to fuel their intense activities with proper nutrition. There are multiple trends in nutrition which are beneficial, and many others which are not. It is important athletes only follow the beneficial trends. So, what is sports nutrition? Sports nutrition is the science of delivering direct nutrition at precise windows of opportunities, giving athletes an edge to compete at their best. Athletes need more protein than inactive people. There are many high-quality protein food sources in which athletes can consume to meet their needs, but often protein supplements are used as a quick and easy fix. Protein supplements are good, however they lack many important aspects found in natural foods, hence why they are considered extra protein sources rather than meal replacements. Many athletes are using energy drinks and sports drinks to help fuel their training or activities. However, unless the activity or training is longer than 60 minutes, plain water is the best to drink during. Activities that take longer than 60 minutes will benefit from sport/energy drinks.
Wellness and balance. Wellness is quite hard to define. Wellness is very individual because certain things help some people feel well and may not work for others. Therefore, it is important to know the different aspects of wellness and healthy living. As an athlete, an overall good health and wellness tends to be a priority. The 7 dimensions of wellness include environmental, physical, spiritual, intellectual, social, vocational, and emotional wellness. Balance as an athlete is also very important. Typically, a balanced life involves all the areas of wellness. As an athlete, a balanced life also means being able to juggle the different aspects of daily life while continuing to incorporate all elements of wellness.
The changing role of physical activity. During the early days of physical activity, our ancestors were considered hunters and gatherers. They were constantly out gathering food and finding/building shelter to survive. Exercises were not needed as they were physically active all day, every day. During the agricultural period, physical activity became more work-focused. Families began to run farms to supply themselves food rather than hunting. People continued to be active as a part of their daily lives. During the industrialization period, the need to grow food was becoming less prominent because large factories could make more food faster. So families began to move to cities and towns rather than owning a farm. Physical activity was no longer a part of most people's everyday life since they were not out working the farm or hunting and gathering. Since people were not getting the same amount of physical activity, exercise came to be. During the wars, young boys needed to be trained strong so they would grow up to be strong men and be able to win wars. So they were put through tough physical training during school because if not, they would not be physically active enough to become strong. During the 1970s and even starting years before, work demands had shifted hugely from manual labor to office work, requiring little to no physical activity. Therefore, Americans started exercising on a regular basis. Lifting weights, running, walking, aerobics were all very popular. Currently, there is a plethora of health and fitness methods, programs, and resources. However, the general population is in the worst physical shape yet.
An outstanding Canadian athlete presentation. Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky played hockey and is considered the best to ever do so. He played 20 seasons in the NHL and coached 4. He played for the Edmonton Oilers for 9 seasons, Los Angeles Kings for 7 seasons, the St. Louis Blues for 1 season, and the New York Rangers for 3 seasons. He was the head coach of the Phoenix Coyotes for 4 seasons. He was born on January 26, 1961 in Brantford, Ontario. He comes from a family of 7. He played for the Sault Greyhounds in the OHL before playing for the Indianapolis Racers, where he was then moved to the Edmonton Oilers shortly after. Gretzky is considered outstanding for multiple reasons. He is the leading scorer in NHL history, with more goals and assists than anyone. He has more assists than anyone else has total points. He's the only NHL player to get over 200 points in one season. He did this 4 times. Also, he had 14 consecutive seasons over 100 points. He currently holds 61 NHL records.
How the Olympics began. The Olympic Games can be seen as one of the earliest competitions to involve athletes of all kinds to come together to compete against one another. According to historical records, the first Olympic Games can be traced back to 776 BC. They were dedicated to the Olympian gods and were staged on the ancient plains of Olympia. All free male Greek citizens were allowed to participate in the Games, no matter their social status. The first modern Olympics were held in Athens, Greece, in 1896. The man responsible for the rebirth of the Olympics was a Frenchman by the name of Baron Pierre de Coubertin. He presented the idea in 1894. Ever since, the Olympic Games have been continued. The future of athletics. Over the next decades, advances in technology, along with changes in demographics and cultural trends, the world of sports will transform over the next decades. The future will also redefine and challenge the traditional concept of sport and what it means to be an athlete. Esports is on the rise and might even be considered a sport sooner rather than later. No one knows whether the world of sport will accept and adapt to these changes. New technologies and training methods are also on the rise and continue to affect the future of sports, with certain technologies allowing athletes to get faster, stronger, smarter, etc. All sports will be effective. Games will get faster and improve in skill, as all athletes will be using new technologies to improve and or make our athletes even greater athletes than ever before.